People in 12-step share phone numbers and first names. What is the point? And how is that going to help somebody with a substance abuse or a behavioral abuse issue? This is Beth Wee in the Koinonia Kitchen with Lee Kimball, and we're going to talk today about that 500-pound phone. What do we mean, 500-pound phone, Lee?
Often difficult to pick up.
It is hard to pick up and ask for help. Why is it so hard for some of us to ask for help?
You know, I heard that ask word once defined as ass saving kit.
It is a deal. You know, the premise is that if somebody is struggling with an addiction or a compulsive behavior, they can make a call before they slip back into the old behavior. Have you ever heard of that working for someone, Lee?
Beth, it comes down to a willingness, and you have to develop it. Because if you're in a situation where you're in pain, you're in trouble, whatever, it's important to do it. Okay, so that is why when you're not in pain, when you're not in trouble, it's important to do it, to build the pattern. So then when I am jammed up, it's not going to be so difficult.
Right. It is. It's practice it before you need it. So then when you need it, it actually comes naturally. It's easier. I've had times in my history where when I called someone because I just didn't feel right. It wasn't like I was going to fall back into a behavior that was bad for me. I just didn't feel good. And I just wanted to feel better. Yeah. And I just made the call. Have you ever heard about calling someone to check on them when you don't feel good?
Well, there's a big trick right there. Yeah. Because a tool that I've used, and I don't sit down and say, I'm going to pull out this tool and use it, but calling somebody and making it a point in my mind not to talk about me.
Yeah. And it will change how you feel about you.
Well, that feeling thing, Beth, I can remember when I was a younger man, there had been situations in my life that needed to change. And I had gone and was availing myself of 12-step help. And this was a suggestion that was made to me. If I didn't feel well, make a phone call. And I had a list of numbers. And so the first 4 or 5 numbers on this list I called and nobody answered. So now I've got this number of a fellow that had put his name on this list and I don't know who he is.
Yes.
Okay, now you talk about the 500-pound phone, because the thoughts in my mind all of a sudden is, well, I don't want to bother them, and so I made the call. And 2 significant things happened. He had made his first call at some point in the past, so he helped the conversation along. Okay. He carried the conversation along a bit. And then the other amazing thing that happened was at the end of the call, I felt better, and he thanked me for calling.
Isn't that
That
nice?
freaked me out. Okay, wait a minute. You helped me. What are you thanking me for? You don't realize, but the person you're calling is benefiting from it as well.
Well, connection is the key.
Yeah.
One of the things about compulsive behaviors is that we isolate to do them. Yeah. We isolate. So when you make a phone call, you're connecting again. You're breaking down the isolation. People, people that use drugs, people that drink, people, they want to be alone to do that.
Yeah.
Break away from that. This using the 500-pound phone breaks that part of the chain. I'm not saying it's the only thing that'll work, but I'll tell you what, it'll slow down any following behaviors. You're going to get a new mindset because you're getting it from someone else. Someone else is sharing their mindset with you over a phone, and you can make a better decision. those three thinks that they say think.
Yeah.
The first think is pick up the phone. The second think is, what are you talking about? You're changing what I'm thinking about. And the third think is, I don't feel the same as before I made the phone call. Just three thinks in a row. You know, I think you have to practice making phone calls before you need it. So sometimes if you were given a list of phone numbers at a 12-step meeting, just practice. Call a few of the numbers and just say, hi, this is me. And I just, even
Touch
if
and
you're
base.
leaving a message, hi, I got your number from wherever you got the number. Were you at a 12-step meeting or a friend? Hi, I got your number. I just wanted to reach out and thank you for giving me the number. I'm doing okay right now. I just want to practice making a call. People that put their number on a list like that will understand that call. You might even get a call back where they said, wow, thanks for calling. That was really good. You were brave. I got a list and I never called anybody. I was afraid to do it. You just gave me, some confidence to try it,
We had an acquaintance many years ago, and I remember him telling the story. He had gotten himself a sponsor in a 12-step.
A sponsor is like a mentor in a
12-step like
program?
a mentor, and it was suggested to him to call the fellow every day, and he did. And all of a sudden, he started getting the guy's answering machine consistently, like every time. Ooh. And like 2 months later, he was talking to somebody. He says, I call this guy every day, and
he doesn't answer anymore.
The fellow that hadn't answered had gone back to drinking.
Oh, my goodness.
But the thing was, the fellow that was making the call hadn't.
Yeah.
So
it worked for him.
It worked for him. And
I'll tell you what, the fellow that had gone back to the old behavior, he probably hated getting that message every day.
Yeah.
There's something like something about pulling you back into it. Like, hey, think about this.
I'll go you one step further on that one, though, because I had a fellow that at one time had been a mentor of mine and had returned back to his negative behaviors. And I continued to call him.
Out.
And it was, I guess, 2-3 years later, he was able to go back to
finding his way back
into the herd, if you will. And he mentioned the value of that. I had continued
to reach out
and to connect.
Connection is a key. Connection is a key to changing the way you live.
And we're talking about the telephone.
Right.
And the telephone is a wonderful. And you know something, folks? Texting is different.
Yeah, texting is not the same as talking.
It doesn't count.
Well, the practice of making the phone call has saved lives.
Yeah.
There are people that were at the end of their rope, literally, and somehow that person answering that phone call and talking them, they just, they moved away from the negative and moved back to the positive.
To go to the most extreme situation, I think, of a suicide hotline.
Yeah.
How many times have people utilized that and it's made all the difference?
Right. Well, it takes humility to ask for help. And if you're working a 12-step program or living in the 12 steps, humility is one of the biggest assets that you will gain from this way of life.
Well, it's one of the biggest goals that you're trying to achieve.
Knowing who you are, accepting where you've been, and seeing where you could go.
Yeah.
That's what humility is. It's an accurate assessment of who you are. And talking on the phone can bring it to you because you're asking for help. You're saying, this is more powerful than me, and in this moment, I need some strength. I need some support from somebody else who is fighting the same battle. So I'm calling you.
And one of the things I've heard about 12-step in general is that somebody going somewhere and finding out it's okay to say that something's wrong.
Right.
It's okay to talk about because how often in general life, how many situations do I have? All right, let me put it this way. How many times when somebody says, how are you? Do they really want to know? Yeah. If I start telling them, all of a sudden, they're gone.
Yeah. So the telephone, sometimes it may feel like it weighs 500 pounds. That's just your anxiety about picking it up. Whatever you're fighting, the compulsion, the disease, the behavior, that wants you to not make that call.
It wants you alone.
It wants you dead. It'll settle for you. Either drunk or using or doing the behavior. Right now, it's just trying to get you away from other people that have started a new way of life. Don't let that win. Pick up the telephone. It's time to take addiction out of the shadows and shine the encouraging light of recovery on everyone affected. Good Seed Podcast is powered by BethWE.com, a nonprofit ministry based in Vero Beach, Florida. We'll start the uncomfortable conversations that turn despair into hope and complacency into action. Connect, communicate, and thrive with us. Check us out online at BethWE.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk again soon.